The housing scandal that could cost lives and leave thousands of homes worthless. Too many builders are taking shortcuts using fake bricks to construct houses. And not only are the buildings falling to bits after just a few years, industry experts say the inferior imported materials are downright dangerous. David Richardson has our investigation.
Rotten. It's like an apple, shiny outside and it's rotten inside.
It's cheap, nasty and potentially very dangerous.
The billion-dollar national building scandal. Homes made from, of all things, polystyrene foam. That's why they're called Esky houses.
It's a bit like having a huge polystyrene Esky, but Eskies are to put beer in, not families in.
Imagine putting your Esky lid on a right angle and trying to get that to stop water going through. It doesn't work.
Tonight, inside the building practice that is costing homeowners hundreds of thousands of dollars in every state and territory in the country.
We're experiencing a huge epidemic, and in 20 or 30 years, this problem is going to come to light where these homes are going to need to be demolished.
Looking at this development of 49 apartments, you'd hardly imagine it is slowly falling apart. It's barely 10 years old, but what owners didn't know was it's made of foam and leaking like a sieve. Every unit.
I would like to use a word, but I can't use it. It's more than upset. Angry. Furious.
Do you feel ripped off?
Big time. Yes.
Single mother Susanna bought her two-bedroom unit 2 years ago. Within months, she knew something was wrong.
Me and my son, we started having a lot of issues. We're getting sick all the time. I thought it was a common cold. More than 5 times sick with respiratory problems.
Mould from chronic leaks was making them sick. When inspectors cut away part of the wall, they found foam cladding, rotten timber frames, and water everywhere.
Were you told that this was an Esky house?
No. No.
Had you ever heard of this before?
No.
Inspections in other apartment walls found the same thing. Foam cladding had been screwed straight onto the wooden frames. There's nowhere for the water to go except inside, like this.
There's so many people who have been impacted by this. It's crazy.
Graham Inglis bought an apartment in the same block off the plan for $400,000. It's been a total waste of money.
Everyone wants to wash their hands of it. It's been a mess from day one. There was no waterproofing. The drainage was too small. It was a combination of things.
Not least, the incorrect use of foam cladding, rendered then painted like a band-aid, hiding a sore.
Developers are essentially trying to reduce costs, builders are trying to reduce costs, and what we're looking at is inferior products being used, and one of them being foam.
Sahil Basin is the general manager of Roscon, a national building consultancy. They investigate 5,000 homes a year, foam homes or Esky houses, some of the worst they've ever seen.
How many houses could have been built this way?
What we're estimating is tens of thousands of homes around Australia have been built in this way.
So how did this all come about? Foam cladding has been used overseas for decades as a cheap alternative to bricks and mortar. Then in 1996, changes to the Australian Construction Code allowed foam to be used in buildings here. The problem is foam being used on the ground floor if it's screwed directly into the wooden frames.
Was it intended for first-storey developments? So the ground story would stay solid brick and the first story would be polystyrene or a lightweight substitute.
It seems a National Construction Code may as well be called the National Destruction Code because the code hasn't been complied with.
Independent Senator Nick Xenophon found out about Esky houses during a Senate committee inquiry. He was amazed.
This is a disaster in the making. This was revealed in the course of the Senate inquiry into these non-conforming dodgy building products, and what is now emerging is potentially a huge scandal in this country with potentially tens of thousands of Australian homes being affected.
This house is one of 80,000 in New Zealand with leaky home syndrome, caused by the inappropriate use of foam cladding. It was a multi-billion-dollar building disaster. The worry is it will happen here as well.
I mean, are we talking potentially in the next 10, 20, 30 years, whole suburbs having to be bulldozed?
A lot of the suburbs, yes.
If you can't sell it, it can't be fixed, you can't sell it, obviously. So we basically be out on the street.
You lose everything.
You lose everything.
No one wants the cladding banned completely, but experts believe it's time to enforce tougher restrictions on how and where it can be used and bring back independent inspections on home building sites.
There's potentially billions of dollars worth of legal claims that will emerge as these homes literally start falling apart.
We've got a growing epidemic out there that needs to be solved very quickly.
And the Housing Industry Authority insists polystyrene is a perfectly safe building material if used correctly. David Richardson there.